When you can reject someone, whether it's a woman or whether it's a business associate or an offer of some kind or whatever the case is, or they are trying to maneuver you to, maybe it's like you're invited onto a podcast or whatever. If you can say no while still keeping an open heart, or with some of these women out here, some of these SLUTs, you can say fuck you, but with an open heart. As a full Sakian man, that's where you become a local legend. Now, there are other ways to become local legends, of course, but I think that's a really big one, where you can actually just say no with an open heart and, yeah, feel compassion for these people, because I have a lot of compassion for these women, and yet at the same time, a lot of them are choosing to dig themselves deeper into the illusion of separation. And so we as full Sakian men, walking around like Captain Amerisac, going full Sachiavelli on these women, we have no other option than to walk away and reject them. We don't want to. Are you kidding me? We don't want to reject these women. We don't want to reject these beautiful, attractive women, but on the outside, yeah, they look great, but their souls are filthy. Their souls, their spirits rather, because I differentiate the term spirit and soul to a large degree now. Some people may not know the difference, but that's a topic for another time. But their spirits are filthy. There's nothing around their spirit but deflection of accountability and entitlement. And it's just disgusting to see. It actually is repulsive. To the full Sakian man who is a local legend, it truly is repulsive to see this kind of behavior on anyone, but especially the SLUTs. And these demonic SLUTs that are trying to make it seem like you're the problem. So passive aggressive behavior has become the normal standard for our society. And I really think that this is one of the reasons why our society is collapsing, is because people aren't direct anymore. Like full Sakian men, or just integrated men who have integrated their shadow, integrated their anima their anima for some degree and to some degree, or at least are on the path to do so. They can communicate directly. Yeah, this is what it is. This is what I want. They're assertive and capable. And women, I've met women who are integrated in their shadow, who are assertive, but they're not deflection. They're not deflecting, and they're not projecting. And if they do project, like I've met women who have projected and they apologize for projecting onto me. I'm like, wow, I'm really sorry for projecting onto you. That was my responsibility. And they see the freedom and responsibility and accountability for their emotions. When you have the accountability for your own feelings and for your own ways of being, there's something so sovereign about it. Even though it's very difficult, it's often like confronting fear. Like confronting fear is often worse than just, the whatever it is you're afraid of. So, like approaching women, for example, a lot of men find it difficult to approach women, and it can be difficult, because we men have dealt with rejection in a different kind of way for a lot, forever. I don't think that there's ever been a time where it's not been the case, where women kind of have to be direct when they are rejecting a man. And it's often the man who gets rejected the most that gets the most women, because he's the one taking the most shots. It's kind of like, if you're playing basketball or you're playing soccer or whatever. The World Cup just ended, so we'll choose soccer. If you take a lot of aims and a lot of strikes toward hitting a goal and making a goal, the likelihood of you and the probability of you maximizing your potential for increasing the potential of those goals being made just gets drastically higher as time goes on. This is one of the reasons in which in business you can create momentum so easily if you just, oh, here's an idea, let's do it. Here's an idea, let's do it. Like, I've worked with multimillionaires, and the way that they do things is they have an idea and they just go for it. That sounds like a good idea. Let's try it. Bada bing, bada boom. And then they immediately get the data, and then they adjust as necessary. Because executing a plan is far better than trying to see what will happen if the plan doesn't follow through. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have contingency plans necessarily, like especially financially, right? You know, we live in a day and age where people don't really have a savings, really. Like, I messaged, or I didn't really message, but I did, but I posted about something that I was talking about to another person in messages yesterday on my YouTube posts, where I said, inflation is 10% per year. That means that if you have $1,000, just if you have $1,000 US dollars in your hand, in 4 months, it's going to be worth $966. So not only do your dollars have inflation on them, everything that you make, like whether it's ETFs or whether it's Bitcoin or crypto or other whatever, however you make your money in your investments, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. So really, there are only two options if you really want to keep your money. You either have hard money like gold, silver. I would consider Bitcoin as hard money simply because of the finite resources, but you know, that's a whole other story for another time. But going into silver or gold would be a good option for you if you want like hard money, because this fiat currency crap is like, you know, it's printed everywhere. Nobody can actually keep any of it because everything's been everything that's externalized infinitely is going to be limited in your own conscious being internally. So the way that you can negotiate with time really is what you're doing. You're learning how to negotiate. That's what a sacrifice is actually learning how to invest in yourself properly and being internally rich before you be externally rich. Because it's not necessarily that you have to do that in that order. It's just that a lot of people who are multimillionaires that I've worked with, they, like in Godlike Mastery, for example, they have this stuff, you know, they have a lot of stuff, but they don't have anything inside themselves. And it's the same type of thing with women. This is what I'm getting at. This is why I'm talking about this, is because women, communicating with women is like investing with fiat money. It's not going to go anywhere. And the inflation is high anyway. And then you're going to have to pay taxes emotionally on the communication with so many of these women. And so not only do you have to pay to play with women, so to speak, you also have to pay taxes in the communication with them. And not only that, they will lie to you and deflect accountability and say, oh, it's actually you're the one that has to go to jail, so to speak. Like, this is the craziness of our society, and men have allowed it to get to this point. I don't know one man with a full sack who truly has a full sack and can walk around like Captain Amerisack. And truly, if this man is the regal alchemist with the full sack, there's no way this man is letting a woman take advantage of him without being blindsided, of course, because women will be very deceptive. I've never seen a man who's willingly taking shit from women simply because, well, you know. Now look, women are going to do women things every now and again. That's understandable. They're women. But it's not okay for us men to just give away our power. Like the Bible says, give not your strength unto women. There is so much wisdom in that, because there's just so much wisdom and value that you can have in that. And then I was reading a verse in the Bhagavad Gita earlier. Yes, selfish desire is found in the senses, mind, and intellect, misleading them and burying the understanding in delusion. Fight with all of your strength, controlling your senses. Conquer your enemy. Conquer your enemy, the destroyer of knowledge and realization. Women have embodied that in our day and age, for the most part. Women have embodied the destroyer of realization and knowledge. They don't want you to know about who you are as a man. They don't want you to realize your power as a full Sakian male who can go out there and fight the battles he needs to fight, win, conquer, and be a man. They don't want you to have that power. They want it for themselves so that they can use you and your energy so that they don't have to self-reflect. That's what I don't like, living in this world where no matter what women do and how women do it, they get away with it. And men are just sitting idly by. This is the power of the full sack. Do you want to be a local legend with a full sack or not? Go out there and be who you are. Be who you want to embody, the teachings that you want to embody. Embody truth. Embody the good. Embody wisdom. This is richness. Richness does not come from your status or your money. Now, there's luxurious things that you can experience, absolutely. But true richness is found in art, love, prosperity of the inner world. They don't want you to know about the greatness of your inner world, because if you knew about the greatness of your inner world, you wouldn't put up with half the shit that they expect you to. And I'm so passionate about this because I'm sick of seeing men just giving everything they have to these women that do not deserve it. I don't have a problem if you want to give women things, like if you want to give your woman what you want to give her, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But a lot of these women just don't deserve your energy, man. They don't deserve your energy. And I don't like being the guy that's like, oh, swear. I'm not telling you to swear off women. Be very clear with that. I'm not telling you to swear off women. Women are beautiful creatures. When they're actually healthy, they're beautiful creatures. Now, I can appreciate them even when they're snake-like, because it helps us as men realize ourselves, have that knowledge. Remember what the Bhagavad Gita says. Your enemy in certain planes of consciousness is going to be destroyers of knowledge and wisdom and realization. But when you're oriented from timelessness, that falls by the wayside. You just appreciate them. You just see them for who they are. So you have to recognize that women are snakes. Absolutely. But anybody can be. Anybody can be a snake. Women just play much better at the game of being a snake. They're like a snake dressed up as like a teddy bear. They're a snake that's dressed up, and they're like playing the facade. And you have to look at them and see that that's the soul of existence expressing itself. It's almost as if that's your guru, right? That's your teacher coming to you and be like, well, are you going to fall for this? You going to fall for this again? What's going to happen? Are you going to fall for it or not? Stuck again, are we? That's kind of what I see it as. If ever there's a form of deception going on, like I've seen this so much recently, and today I had an experience. One of the reasons why I'm talking about this, I won't talk about the direct experience, but she tried to deflect, like so passive aggressively, and I just walked away. I didn't even say anything, and what? And so we have to reject these women. We have to reject them. I don't like it. I'm not saying that we should be proud of rejecting them, but I'm saying as a local legend with a full sack, you have to be capable of rejecting a woman that's not going to be good for you, man. And you'll improve and increase your self-respect by doing so, because you are respecting yourself. Oh, I am the type of man that doesn't have to adhere to these women and their demands. I've seen this so much recently. And like at the gym today, again, I won't go into the specifics, but like this man was like trying to give this woman the cold shoulder. And the woman was trying to like passive aggressively demand him. I think it was her husband, I guess, you know. The way that they were talking to each other, they seemed like they were almost having like a romantic couples fight in the middle of the gym. And the man just would not stand up for himself. And it's so mind-boggling because I would rather, let's say this, I would rather, if I'm in public and my woman is trying to argue with me, I will just simply tell her we are not talking about this in public. Or you know, if we're around other people, I would say we are not talking about this right now. We will talk about this when we are home. Because the unspoken rule is for a healthy relationship, you do not argue in public. Why would you do that? Like, why, like, and these women, they just get off on the drama of it because they're so, I swear, dude, a lot of these women, they have so many disorders. They have so many mental diseases, man. They just, it's really quite sad. You know, like, it really is. It's such a shame to see because they don't have any shame. I mean, if you ask these women what richness is, the answer will probably be so superficial that it'll make your heart hurt. In fact, I even, like, thinking about all of the pain and the suffering, it's hard to fathom how much these women are suffering and they're refusing to do anything about it. And now we're to a point where about 1 in 4 women by the time they're 30 years old will have children. The other 3 out of 4 will not. This is crazy. And I'm not necessarily a humanist, but I would say that there's something that we can learn from being humane. Like something Friedrich Nietzsche talked about in Beyond Good and Evil. He said that Dionysus was obviously a god of the Greeks, and he says many people have forgotten the gods or even their god, and they think that they haven't. And he said that Dionysus was actually, you know, kind of a trickster, right? A lot of these gods were very much so tricksters, and you know, this is one of the reasons why the Odyssey is such a trickster movie. I went to see the Odyssey last week. For the Regal Change old timers that are aware of my work, you likely saw this, but yeah, these Greek myths and such, they're very trickster-like. It's interesting how that works, but Nietzsche says that Dionysus actually called upon him to be more evil and beautiful. And he says, be more evil and beautiful, Dionysus? What do you mean, be more evil and beautiful? And then he says, see, this is something that the gods can learn from humans, is to learn how to be humane. But what is a human without its humanity? Is it a god or is it a rat? Like, holy smokes, you know. Something to think about. So, this was a crazy one. This was a good one, the crazy one, but a good one. I trust that this message reached those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. If you are interested in the Godlike Mastery offer, if it's aligned with you and you're ready to make that financial commitment, it's time to make that transformation. Apply to the Godlike Mastery offer that I have, or join the Regal Academy. And peace be with you all. Be blessed. Until next time.